Welcome everybody to this live broadcast. This subject is going to be about what weddings could look like for the rest of this year. Just kind of want to go over a few things for my clients and also some stuff for other wedding vendors, other people in the wedding industry. This is information that you might find useful. What I want to also say is that this is all my own opinion, and I don't necessarily have sources at the moment. It's just a lot of collective thoughts that I've put together in reference to this subject about what weddings could look like for the rest of this year. So if you do have any kind of comments or questions, you can leave that down below in the comment section and I will answer those to the best of my abilities, and we can just have a nice conversation about weddings for 2020. So first of all, the thing I want to kind of bring up is like May 1st is a new order for the state of Alabama. That's where we're based out of, and we have to go along with those kind of orders. So for the last couple of weeks, it's been kind of not really anything much going on in the wedding kind of side of stuff, unless it was a very small kind of group of people, 10 people or less. That's the kind of stuff that we could take part of. So this last Saturday, we actually streamed a wedding live, so that was pretty cool. That's a new service that we're offering, and we're excited about to be offering live streaming, and I'll go into more details about that kind of stuff in a few minutes. But yeah, so the state of the wedding industry is still at somewhat of a hold because of the stay-at-home orders that are going on. As far as the groups and gatherings and things like that, May 1st through the 15th, that's the standing order of 10 people or less kind of deal. So not many vendors or venues are able to still do stuff with weddings. There are still some options available depending on what kind of wedding you want to have if you are still going to try to keep your dates. Fortunately, I've had some clients in the wedding side of stuff that we've been able to postpone, which is very thankful, very nice that we're able to do that kind of stuff. But I also just want to bring up to make plans for the near future. So this is my thought. This is what it's going to be based around. The thought is that I don't think that we're going to have the floodgates opened for us at any time soon. I think it's going to be a small rollout of the amount of people that will be allowed into different venues, different places. Even churches, like I saw a report today about how churches are not going to just be able to have their services wide open in a few weeks. It's going to be a slow rollout, and I think it's going to apply to the wedding industry as well. So I say that information because this is all speculation. I don't have any special insight from any officials or anything like that, but this is just, like I said, collected information and my collected thoughts about how we can try to prepare and predict about how we can treat the rest of this year for weddings. So if I'm talking to anybody that's planning on having a wedding, I would say this, is that in the next few months, or weeks, however the rollouts go, it's going to be a gradual increase of the amount of people that will be allowed to attend that kind of stuff. So for your planning purposes, let me backtrack a little bit. For your planning purposes, if you don't have a wedding planner, I definitely suggest getting one. Went into that with the podcast with the Wedding Collective today. I'll leave a link down below in the video description so you can listen to that podcast that just released today. Went into a lot of details about planning and all that kind of stuff, but I definitely recommend getting a planner. Kimberly Smith, she's wonderful, does a lot of nice work in this area. There's also a good handful of other wedding planners if she's not available to help you. But I definitely would recommend checking out Kim if you can. But even beyond that kind of side of stuff, the thoughts and the planning process that you might need to go into is to actually plan for weddings that aren't as big as maybe as what you expected or planned for in the first place. So you might have to do what we call our micro weddings, or slim down on the crowd that's going to be there. And it's just going to be a lot of communication between all the vendors and all the people that you have involved, family members, friends, and what your wedding is going to be looking like or what you want it to look like. So I just want to give you encouragement that there's a way that you can prepare for that kind of stuff. And if you still want to stick with your wedding date that you are going to plan for, you might have a smaller crowd than normal. So that's just something to plan for. The benefit with Evergreen, and that's the other side subnote to what I want to say with this whole situation, is that we're here for you, first of all, and we want to supply you with knowledge, with planning, all the different stuff that goes into the pre-wedding kind of stuff that we all have to plan for, which is, just how the wedding is going to look or how it's going to play out. So there's been a lot of different kind of looks at weddings recently. If you've been paying attention to the wedding industry, if you're a vendor, I know that you have been, but if you're a bride, like there's a lot of cool ideas, alternative ideas that you could do. There's the elopements. I love elopements. I love to film and capture those photos, videos, whatever it is. That's my favorite style. It's just a really cool way to capture the love and the story between couples. But also there's micro weddings to where you don't have as big of a wedding. It's kind of slimmed down to the necessities, whether it's family or other important people in your life. We can be part of that in a sense. The hard part on our end of stuff is when we hear about the 10 people or less kind of stuff. It's like, can we be included in that 10, or is it 10 people? Then maybe can we be outside of that 10 people kind of stuff? That's the kind of gray areas that we have to deal with. And that's a conversation we can have between ourselves. And also, we check with authorities every time that we go out and do anything. That's been something that we've tried to do each and every time that we're presented with an opportunity to capture something. Unfortunately, we've had to turn away some different kind of jobs, but others we've been able to complete because we had it cleared with the authorities. So that's always important, is to check with authorities and see what they're saying about what we can and can't do. But micro weddings, elopements, a benefit of working with Evergreen is that, one, we can do both photo and video. Also, we have teams. Like, we can hire out people that work with us on a regular basis. I can take a team, Kristen can take a team. Even if you were to book a wedding or reschedule a date in the future and we're already booked on that date, we can handle more than just one wedding on a Saturday. So speaking of Saturdays, another thing that you could consider doing is having a wedding on a weekday versus a weekend. Sometimes there's a lot more availability to be able to have a wedding on a weekday versus a Saturday. So I think for the I can't talk straight. I think for the foreseeable future, we might have to think of some alternative ways to accomplish the weddings and get the wedding done of what you've been trying to plan for originally. So, sometimes I know weekdays aren't the easiest for some people, but it might be an option for others. So that's something to think about as well. So I've seen that move. We booked a wedding that's going to be on a weekday. That's going to be one of the first times for us. We've always had stuff on Saturdays. So that's, it's all new territory for a lot of people. And whether you're a bride, a couple, or if you're a vendor, we're all trying to think outside the box of how we can still be able to have these weddings happen. So just to kind of wrap up some of those thoughts is that, first of all, like these rollouts of the amount of people that are going to be allowed to attend to these kind of large gatherings or gatherings in general. Like right now it's 10 people or less. So the next time it could be 25 or 50 or 100, and you can kind of see how that could go. We don't know the time frame of that kind of stuff. I remember reading about and also hearing about from a couple other sources about some news that was floating around about predictions of how gatherings such as weddings, sporting events, concerts, all that kind of stuff might not get back to what our previous normal was for like another year or so. So that's why I want to say, like, for the rest of this year, it may not be as big or large gathering of a wedding that we were hoping for originally. So it might be a little bit slimmed down for the rest of this year and potentially even to the beginning of next year. We've actually had some weddings postponed, of course, in the fall, but also we have some 2021 postponements now. So you can see how the trends are going. And probably the biggest advice that you'll probably hear from many vendors, whether you're talking to a photographer, a videographer, cake decorator, catering, anything like that, DJs, all the above, that you might want to talk to them and see what their dates are. And figure out like maybe a happy medium with what works and what doesn't work for some people. Just dates in general. I've brought this up a couple of times. October 17th has been our most requested date this year. I don't know what's special about October 17th, but we were actually covering 3 weddings that day. One of them was rescheduled on that day. It was a previous time in reaction to COVID-19. So that filled up. And then ironically, we didn't have October 10th, which is 10-10-20. we didn't have that booked up until a reschedule. So October, November, with the exception of this year, March and April are always our busiest months. And so I can foresee like all that kind of stuff is going to fill up pretty fast. And I know that other vendors, they're filling up in the fall pretty quick. So it's not like this thing about trying to like, you need to hurry up and do it, book now or all that kind of stuff. But I do want to encourage you to take the steps to talk to your vendors that you may not have talked to yet, and try to reschedule some of that kind of stuff with the thoughts of we might not have as large of a wedding as possible. So 2021 is going to start booking up pretty fast too. We've already had some reschedules go for 2021. And then that's on top of our regular booking ratio that we normally have. So if you are a 2021 bride and haven't booked dates yet, you're going to want to start doing that now, even a year ahead of time. Just go ahead and start, at least have the conversation with the vendors that you want to have there for your wedding. And that's probably like some of the biggest advice I could give you to help handle this kind of stuff. It's going to take a lot of planning. It's going to take a lot of flexibility. It's going to take a lot of working together as a team to make all this work together. And I'll just go back to a wedding planner. Like a wedding planner can help corral all that kind of stuff and help you get the job done. So that way you can have a great wedding and still have like the dreams that you were planning for. So that's pretty much going to wrap up the talk for what I wanted to address to you guys. So that way maybe you can get some ideas of how to start planning for stuff. If you need any more help with anything, feel free to message us, call us. My website is evergreencreative.co. All the contact information is there. You can leave a comment down below in this video. If you want to leave a question, some advice, even if you're not going to book with me, I'm more than happy to help out. We're all trying to get through this together, and that's how we're going to do it. If you need some suggestions, I'm open to being an open book with you. Just let me know how I can help you. I appreciate everyone that I've worked with so far, and I'm looking forward to working with more people, and I'm looking forward to a wedding. Like, it's been a while. It was actually like story time now, I guess. Is on Wednesday, not Wednesday. Why am I saying Wednesday? But the last wedding, the live stream one, it was interesting because it was just a live stream wedding. We didn't film it. We didn't photograph it. It was just live streaming. There was a photographer there, but our job was to just live stream the wedding. So that was interesting to me because I've never walked away from a wedding and was like, I'm done. Like, there's nothing else to do with it. That's it. I'm used to going back home, unloading the gear, and then backing up all the files and all the video files, photo files, whatever it is, onto the computer so I don't lose them and have them in a safe space. But there was nothing like that. I handed over a hard copy of the wedding live stream with a flash drive at the end of the time that we were doing everything, and that was it. So that was interesting. That was a new experience for us. We've done live streams before, but we've done it for different factors too. Like, we've also done live stream plus photography and some video. So we still have some stuff to do. But yeah, that was interesting to have a live stream only wedding, and it could be a foreshadowing of some stuff that could be coming out. So I'm thankful and fortunate that we're in a place and position to where we can offer those kind of services. If you need more information, definitely reach out. We've got a couple different options, a simple setup and then a premium package. Both can get the job done depending on what you want to get done too. If you're a current client, I'm going to be reaching out to you and seeing if this is a service that you might want added to your wedding. I could definitely see the added benefit to having a live stream in case you had to reschedule, or if we're going to push through with the date that you originally had. There's going to be people that might not be able to make it to the wedding, and we actually had to live that experience on my end. So I understand not just the client experience, but also I understand being in the client's shoes, but also the vendor. My sister-in-law got married back right before the stay-at-home order happened, and none of her siblings, none of her close relatives other than her parents could be part of the ceremony. So fortunately, I was able to live stream that wedding, and the rest of the family could watch the wedding in real time. So that was really cool to be able to do that for my own family, but also just as a company. Like, that was a cool way to have both things kind of done. So very thankful that we're in a position to where we can do that kind of stuff. So live streaming is definitely becoming a thing. I think it's going to be something that isn't going to go away anytime soon. But yeah, like that wedding, we walked away and we were done with it. That was all we had to do, and it was different. It was interesting, and maybe we'll have some more experiences like that. We actually learned quite a bit from that experience too. So we're definitely looking forward to the next wedding that's going to happen. But all that to say, I was bringing that up. It was funny. We were talking to the sister of the bride at the wedding, and she was making sure that we had got something to eat and all that kind of stuff, being very hospital showing us hospitality. If you get to know me more, I get twisted around my words quite a bit. But we were actually in the process of eating the wedding cake, and I was just talking to Kristen about it, and I looked at this and I was like, it's been since, I think, February, that like a full wedding normal experience. Actually, it wasn't even that. That was an elopement. So yeah, it was Samantha and Tanner's wedding. That was the last one. Early March, before, like the last time we had a real wedding. Let's say pre-COVID-19 wedding, that we had wedding cakes. So I was like, I'm going to get some wedding cake. Like, I've missed this. I missed having wedding cakes. I joke around in sometimes my Instagram stories that I'll work for cake. Tara's Temptations, one of the best, if not the best, I'm just going to say the best cake decorator and maker in this area. She'll probably message me if she watches this. But anyways, so many times, like, I'm sending her a photo of the cake that she made. I'm like, this is so good. So it was nice to have some wedding cake for a change. And it was really good. Not Tara good, but it was definitely good. And I mean, just overall, it's like we definitely care about our clients. We care about the weddings. We love being part of them. And we're looking forward to being part of the ones we've already booked and going to book. I think that might wrap up for this live stream. If you like these live streams, I want to do more of them. I've got more of a live stream set up than what I had before. I've got all kinds of new stuff going on, new software, some new gear, new ways to connect to gear and all that kind of stuff, the gear talk, probably stuff you don't care about. But I definitely want to try to connect with you guys, with everyone, through live streaming, through doing different talks like this. So let me know if you like it. Hit some likes, hearts, all that kind of fun stuff. And I'll catch you all later. And again, look over at the wedding. I can't talk straight. Look over at the Wiregrass Wedding Collective. We just released our first podcast today. It's going to be a weekly podcast, so we're super excited and stoked about doing that. So if you're a wedding vendor, it's mostly for wedding vendors. That's the audience that we're going after for that, but it might be something that you might be interested in anyways, because we are talking about the wedding industry as a whole. So thanks for watching, and I appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time. See ya. Have a good night.